Hello everyone, I am Left, and today I want to make a video for you guys about what makes a good early invade in Vainglory. So, if you don't know, my team, Nova, played against Halcyon Hammers this weekend in Vainglory 8, and we lost, which was really bad, and it was surprising, and we should not have lost to them. But there's a lot that we can learn from the games. So, I want to take a clip from the beginning of Game 2 where Hammers attempts to early invade us, and use it to teach you guys about what makes a good and bad early invasion in Vainglory, because early invades are always good. If you can draft a good early composition that takes away the enemy's jungle, then you obviously get really far ahead in the game and you can steamroll the enemies in 15 minutes. So early invades are almost always something that should be strived for, unless your team specifically likes to sit back and play passive compositions, which in itself is kind of a detriment, because then you're always leaving yourself open to teams that do like to play early invade comps. So I'm going to start rolling this clip now and commentate over what's happening to you guys. So as you can see, Hammers has Adagio Fortress Rhyme, and on our side we have Rona Kestrel Lance. Hammers is going to try to early invade us here, and I'm going to pause it at the appropriate points so I can tell you what went wrong and what went right. So Chicken jumps straight onto Truth, and I want to pause it right about here to tell you what happened there. So Chicken jumped onto Truth with Fortress's A. Starting instantly healed Chicken to put Gift of Fire on all of us. The fact that Chicken jumped onto Truth and did a burst of damage meant that Eco and Delphi both instantly focused Chicken. Chicken is not who you want to focus here, because that leaves Status and Starting open to do free damage and win the overall damage trade. So now Nova, our guys, are definitively on the back foot and having to run out the other way of their own jungle. See, we're going to replay it again, just pausing and playing how Hammers won this damage trade by focusing Truth, forcing us to focus Chicken. They were able to win the overall damage trade, and now we're running away. So, as we lose this damage trade, 2 of our flasks are instantly popped, and there's going to be a fight over this top treant. Now, Eco is actually going to steal the top treant here, and as you can see on the map, Truth is running around the backside to start stealing Hammer's jungle. Now, this is a really smart play, even though as Starting takes our middle treant, and as Status takes both of our backs. Delphi is rotating down to go to Starting, and we're going to catch Starting in between 2 players here. Now, we're still pretty even on farm, but now we're going to have First Blood onto Delphi as well, and positioning on Hammers. Starting probably thought that Truth was all the way in his backs taking the doubles, but Truth just took the mid, and we collapsed on Starting. Now, Chicken is out of position, Starting had to respawn, and Status had to back. Now we both have, now Truth and Delphi are free to take the mid treant. So, what happened here, it's a timeline of events. Hammers gets no kills off of this invade. Mostly because the only tool that they had for movement was Fortress's Truth of the Tooth. We didn't have much in that way either, but we were able to out-rotate Starting and take the kill on him. Truth did effective counter-jungling here, which was able to keep us even in gold, at least for this little bit of the early game. Then Delphi is going to chase Starting, and since Chicken and Status were so enamored with Eco, we were able to catch Starting in a 2v1 and get First Blood, and the treant. That's a lot of gold, honestly. So, as the video ends here, I want to go over what makes a actual good invade. I've developed a little bit of a list here for what you need. It's sort of like a checklist for what you should have if you want to do early invasions. So, a good invade needs these. First, you need a method of aggression. Now, this differs for every comp, but usually you're going to want a consistent one, whether it's some crowd control from a Lance and coupled with a Cruel rushing out of a bush with his perk, whether it's Koshka hitting level 2 and upgrading her pounce, or whether it's, I don't know. It could be anything, but it just needs to be something that gets you to where you need to be, which is the kills. Next, you're going to need at least 1 kill and probably more than 3 camps stolen. Hammers did not get either of these things, and that's why we were able to out-rotate and counter-jungle them, taking First Blood and the middle treant. So, in essence, their rotation ended up backfiring, and we ended up ahead in gold. Lastly, you're going to need a good sense of when to block counter jungling. So counter jungling can completely turn an invasion on its head. Well, yes, it'll still put the jungler behind. Their enemy carry will be ahead of your carry if the enemy carry rotates and takes all the backs. Starting All Over saw that Truth was probably going to counter jungle, but what he didn't anticipate is that Truth was just going to take the Elder, or not the Elder, that Truth was just going to take the mid Treant and then rotate back into the Tribush to catch him in a 1v2. That was really smart by Truth, although he probably could have gotten more gold. Well, I don't know. It's a balance. We got the 300 gold for First Blood and then the mid Treant. So that's why we ended up actually ahead after this aggressive early invade from Hammers. The only thing that they were really able to do right is the method of aggression. They had the Fortress jumping in with Truth of the Tooth, Adagio to heal him and put tick damage on all three of us, and then Starting and Status on the Rhyme and the Adagio dealing free damage from the back basically pushed us out of our own jungle. It's great that Eco got the steal on the top Treant and that Truth was able to counter jungle, because if that had not happened, if any of us had died on that initial burst of damage, that would have been the win on the invade for Hammers. They would have pushed out our entire jungle, Truth would probably not have been counter jungling, and they would have gotten First Blood and the Treant. So early invades are usually just on a razor's edge, and you need to do all three of these things that I have listed here correctly if you are going to early invade. And the comps that you can craft for early invade are deep and diverse, so it all depends on what you're playing and what the enemies are playing. I could give you a ton of different scenarios about using certain skills at certain times and baiting out other skills, but there are just way too many hero combinations. Like, I don't know, you probably shouldn't give the enemies Cath Batiste because they'll early invade you, although those aren't traditionally early game heroes. Together they destroy everything in the game. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something useful about early invasions, and I'll see you guys all later. Also, let me know if you have questions in the comments.